This is the Yanks Go Yard podcast with Allan Weinrib and Thomas Carannante.
Welcome to the Yanks Go Yard podcast. I'm Allan Winans alongside Thomas Carannante. Happy March Madness. The New York Yankees opening day roster is beginning to clarify. And if you have fun following this kind of stuff, then this has been a good ride for you, because I would say the consensus has changed over the last week and a half. There are some decisions that were made that I would say I disagree with, or at least I wish some certain players have been given more of a chance. The Yankees clearly decided not to pay much attention no matter what they did, and here we are at the end of camp. Those players are gone. They made a bullpen decision I agree with. They're about to make a rotation decision I agree with. A couple former Yankees got paid yesterday, both in very confusing manners. And the breaking news as we start the podcast, Dom Smith, we found out this morning, had an opt-out decision today that if he triggered would give the Yankees 24 hours to decide to add him to the 40-man or not. If they did that, that would likely mean they were carrying him on opening day. Week and a half ago, I would have told you, yes, Dom Smith probably going to make the team. He made my last roster projection. Then Ben Rice's stats started to normalize. He's cooking. Ben Rice is your starting DH on opening day, as far as I'm concerned. How often is he the starting DH? Not sure about that, but somebody who bulked up the way he did, someone whose name alone has the power to send my co-host off the podcast. Very powerful. But I would say Ben Rice, whose advanced stats are starting to look like the public stats are starting to look like the advanced stats for Ben Rice. So he's going to be your DH for most of the time. Pablo Reyes offers more versatility in the infield than Dom Smith does. And so if you ask me this morning, as Paul Goldschmidt's still nursing that back thing, he's reportedly going to lead off tomorrow. You asked me this morning, hey, is Dom Smith making the roster after this opt-out looming? I would have said, no, I don't think so. Today, about 10 minutes ago, he's scratched from the Yankees lineup tonight. And Robert Murray, Fanside his own, with the note that, yes, Dom Smith is opting out of that deal. So the Yankees have 24 hours to add him to the 40-man. I don't think they will. And I think probably the correct decision. This was starting to become a bit of a spring training mirage. Thomas Carannante, welcome to the show. And we will start with your thoughts on first baseman, but really more of a DH, Dom Smith, who I would say is probably not going to be traveling north with the Yankees any longer.
Yeah, we thought this was happening for a while, right? I actually kind of just baked it in my head. I said, this is probably the move the Yankees want to go with in terms of being able to spell Goldschmidt or to have a veteran bat in there with Giancarlo Stanton probably out for at least the first few months of the season. So I am a little bit surprised. I do like the emergence, obviously, of Ben Rice. That's probably the preferred route you want to go if he's proving that he's able to hold his own in spring training. But yeah, I mean, this is going to now create a situation where other teams are going to quickly sign Dom Smith after the decent spring that he had. I am concerned, however, because we know that we saw a lot of issues with the younger players, right? Anthony Volpe, inconsistent, but finding his footing, that's great. Austin Wells lost steam towards the end of last season and slumped hard. Ben Rice came onto the scene, got off to a quick start, and then kind of just fell off a cliff and never really got back to where he was. So if the Yankees are banking on contributions from these young guys to be productive and consistent, I just hope that they're right, because, look, at the end of the day, is Dom Smith a sufficient answer for what this roster needs? Absolutely not. But in this moment, based on how the injuries were handled and when they happened, the Yankees are kind of strapped in terms of the decisions they can make. So you thought Dominic Smith at least bringing in that veteran experience, the fact that he's fighting for a job, which we like in spring training, right? We like players fighting for jobs. We like competition. We like the energy kind of brought to a different level. And he was one of the only players featured in that kind of realm. There was no other, like the Yankees claim there was a competition for left field, but there isn't really. The Yankees claim there was a competition for third base, but did we really think DJ LeMahieu was going to start there from the outset, even before he got injured?
No, the
Not
Yankees
really.
doing some IL manipulation,
Yeah.
Red Sox style with DJ LeMahieu. Everybody does it. Red Sox fans won't admit to it, but we will. The Yankees are probably doing some IL manipulation with DJ.
Yeah, for sure. But I mean, even take the injury away, like that was not really a competition for third base because none of those guys are full-time starters in general, or even at third base. Like at this point in DJ LeMahieu's career, he's a veteran utility player who probably should be coming off the bench and have his time limited because of his body apparently being unable to hold up. You have Oswaldo Cabrera, who's a super utility player who doesn't belong at the hot corner full time, and you have Oswald Peraza, who can he play third base? Sure, he's actually been good defensively, but he's mostly played shortstop. So you have three imperfect solutions. And there wasn't any roster competition anywhere else. Center field settled with Cody Bellinger, right field, Aaron Judge, first base, Paul Goldschmidt, second base, Jazz Chisholm, shortstop, Anthony Volpe, catcher, Austin Wells. So the DH spot, or at least the depth spots, were kind of up for grabs, depending on how everything else was going to shake out. And I'm honestly surprised that it seems like they're not going to be going with a veteran option, because they might need that in the early going if these younger guys need the lift.
I agree. But at the same time, Pablo Reyes is someone I wasn't even considering for the opening day roster until like 4 or 5 days ago.
I coped and said that a few weeks ago. I said, is it possible that this is the option? He's versatile, and he's another former Red Sox. I love having former rivals on the team. It just it brings a different element to it. But yeah, I mean, now that he's emerged, it makes a lot more sense.
And as John Heyman just tweeted, again, breaking news pod, the best kind of pod, Dom Smith is opting out of Yankees deal. There are probably better fits for Smith since the Yankees need right-handed hitting, not lefties. Robert Murray first. So more confirmation that he's not just opting out to re-opt in 24 hours. He's probably all but gone. That decision is made. Paul Goldschmidt still claiming, even though he was supposed to play Thursday or Friday, that his back is close to 100% and he's confident he'll be in the opening day lineup. I wish I could share his confidence, but he is in his body and I'm not, so good for him. He's apparently leading off tomorrow, adding to the strangest that is the Yankees leadoff picture, which is 37-year-old Paul Goldschmidt and a catcher battling it out depending on who is on the mound. So very interesting. But yeah, this doesn't, it seems to be the end for Dom Smith, but it does not clarify to me who the last bench spot is going to be, because it could be Pablo Reyes. It is right now, but we need right-handed hitting. We've heard all these rumors about the Yankees still looking for right-handed third baseman or right-handed outfielders. Bringing in professionals would help. I would be fine with Dom Smith. I think I'm excited by the fact that there will likely be another option. Although every time I've said, well, the Yankees couldn't possibly, when I've said the Yankees couldn't possibly be entering the season with X, or they couldn't possibly not add another bullpen arm, or not add a third baseman this offseason, or not add anyone at the deadline who was a real impact bullpen arm last year, they've proven me wrong by saying, bet we can absolutely not do that. We won't do that, in fact. So look at what we didn't do, and this is what you get now. So I'm 60-40. The final spot will be occupied by someone who's not on the team, but it could also be Pablo Reyes. I will not make a declaration in either direction there. And It's not going to be Jorbit Vivas, who we knew this was coming. They were never going to give a chance to Vivas from opening day, even though he could play the Pablo Reyes role, even though he hit 400 in spring training. Not surprised to see him demoted late night Wednesday after that game. That said, it's just a bummer to know that the Yankees had made this decision in January. The pre-planned decision. Let's get as many looks at him as we can get, and then we'll send him down. What if he's hitting 500 midway through spring? The decision's been made. Hey, he is hitting 500 midway through spring. Yeah, the decision's been made. Peraza's hitting 190, but he has no more options. And Pablo Reyes is a veteran. We're going to have to add him to the 40-man. So shout out to the person who also told me this spring that Braden Shoemake was the favorite to be the Yankees opening day third baseman. He's had 9 at-bats, and he's about to get DFA'd. So just want to re-up that on the podcast. They're not playing him. He is terrible, and he's going to get DFA'd for Pablo Reyes or whoever they add. So bang up job on that argument. Would love to see that resurface. But yeah, it's not like I'm heartbroken, no Vivas, but it is like, what does he have to do to get the Pablo Reyes spot? Exactly what he did, but it wasn't enough.
Yeah.
So I guess we sign off.
I mean, there's a lot to caution, right? You have all these young guys on the roster, and you're lacking veteran experience, but Vivas is, I don't want to say his clock is ticking, but the Yankees acquired him last year in a trade with the Dodgers. And he was already a top prospect. I understand he missed time due to injury, but he just turned 24 years old. He has 119 games of experience at AAA. So, like, you do wonder how much more time he would theoretically need, especially if he was impressing at spring training. He was delayed this year because of an injury. Is that right?
Yeah.
Something happened?
And what it was, I'm not
Yeah,
sure.
it was like
Shoulder
not.
thing, right?
Yeah,
The old,
it
I
was
mean,
something that
Peraza
was
had that last
underreported.
year. Yeah, Peraza again last year started off spring so poorly, and then like 3 seconds later they were like, actually, he's a shoulder debridement. He's out for like 2 months. So I was worried the same thing would happen to Vivas. It didn't. He raked. So hopefully we see him again.
Yeah, and this is a guy who, again, mostly a second baseman, but has played 1,300 innings at third base in the minor league. So there was at least an ability for the Yankees to get creative and versatile, another lefty bat. But at this point, you know, what's funny is they have too many lefty bats, so it's getting a little bit crowded in that department. With Peraza playing as poorly as he has offensively, I don't know what that means. Like, are the Yankees going after that third base option, the right-handed bat that everybody keeps talking about? Perhaps. I just don't know who it would be, and I don't know how much better they're going to be than you testing out somebody who you would like to utilize in your organization. And I feel Vivas was a candidate for that. And it was like, look, third base position, we're completely screwed, folks. We can't really do anything. Now we're looking at it. We're not going to go with Peraza. You know, let's say, just for the sake of argument, they DFA him. Peraza gets DFA'd, and then next in line is Vivas, and it's like, let's try this platoon out. It can't get worse. Again, I'm not advocating for the Yankees to make these decisions 2 months ago and put themselves in a box, but they did that. So now they end at this point, and you're asking yourself, all right, well, if you're already here and it's essentially as bad as it's going to get, then why not just throw somebody else into the mix who can maybe give you a different look or maybe change their outlook or progression as a top prospect? Again, I don't really know what's going on with Vivas. I don't know if there's concern with his injury. There could be validity here, right? Like, they don't want him up until he's logging consistent everyday reps, which I can understand. But then again, you look around the roster and, like, he's not taking over for Jazz Chisholm at second base anytime soon. He doesn't play shortstop, so that kind of puts him in an awkward position. But there's ways to work him into the lineup every other day or multiple times a week, playing second and third base with DH open. You want to DH Jazz one day to get him all. Like, I don't know. There are options, and again, none of this is endorsed. Like, we were upset about third base not being filled. We were upset about the depth kind of, again, being an assortment of. I don't want to say failed prospects because they're not failed yet, but just guys who are not good enough to start yet. So they're not, and guys, again, who need everyday reps. So you're kind of stunting their development in some way, and then you're asking them to perform when called upon, and that's the job of an experienced veteran who's been in a position like that before and can handle the pressure and can handle the tight spots and the bigger moments. So, at this rate, I would have liked to have seen Vivas if they're not going to go with Peraza. But I mean, if they want to see what they have in those two, then I guess the platoon with Peraza and Cabrera is fine. Something else is telling me though that they are looking outside the organization. I'm looking at all these teams. I don't know where it's coming from. I'm trying to come up with trades. You know, we do that shit as Yankees fans. We're like, oh yeah, who could they go get? They're going to get someone fucking really good. And then you're looking around the league and it's like, they can't trade for anybody. There's no one to trade for. And, you know, things change, right? GMs, quick change of heart right before opening day. They want to part with somebody. Somebody else loses a roster battle in spring training on another team. Like, look, Dom Smith is going to be an asset to somebody else if he opts out and the Yankees don't act on it. I don't know what third base options there are out there that could benefit the Yankees, but I guess we'll see. And I don't know who they're going to trade either. Is like Peraza going to be involved in this? I have no idea.
I am wondering, Garrett Hampson just opted out. I'm not interested in Nicky Lopez at all, but am I more interested in Hampson than Pablo Reyes? These are the kinds of places that your mind goes, and it's the time of year to have these conversations. I'm glad, briefly glad, that the Yankees are getting more creative with their final bullpen spot than putting Allan Winans in there, who was demoted yesterday as well. Not that I think there's like a mad high, upper echelon option in, like, it's not like, oh yeah, I'm glad they demoted Winans and kept X, because Yoendris Gomez is going to be in the bullpen, and I'm not like waving the Brent Hedrick flag. But Winans has been poor for several outings now, back-to-back 4-run outings against the Phillies. And that was somebody who, it was getting so grim that projections were just sort of putting him on the roster like, there's your long man. Like, yeah, but there he goes. Now that Carrasco's going to be in the rotation. And by the way, smart decision there. Carrasco, bad asset management. If you DFA him, I don't even care if he comes up and is bad. You cannot get rid of him now with the way that your pitching is. No. And you cannot bank on Clark Schmidt making the 6th start of the year, which he just said today. I threw 32 pitches yesterday. I feel great, but that's a crazy thing to expect me to do. Great. I won't. I'll move Carlos Carrasco to the rotation instead. That hopefully works itself out. I need spring training to end so I can stop thinking about pitchers wasting bullets in games that don't count at all. But they're making the smart move with the rotation. The final bullpen spot is either going to be Hedrick, Matzek's not healthy, or I think heavy favorite, someone who's not currently with the organization. So watch out. Watch this space for DFA decisions. I would say in terms of these additional bats, by the way, I want to go on the record, and who knows if this ends up being a reality or not, and I don't know if anyone's hyped about this, so don't think I'm sitting here being like, gonna blow your mind with an option that's gonna take this team to the next level. But are we sure that Mark Canha wouldn't help? I know the Milwaukee Brewers are gonna have some difficult conversations. Mark Canha not on the 40-man at this point. That's someone who I think we've said the Yankees should acquire him at the deadline as depth like 10 times over the past couple of years. Every time there's a deadline, he's not doing anything this spring. He's hitting 100. He has 2 hits and 20 at bats, but
that doesn't matter. Yeah.
Do they prize him and that versatility and that right-handed bat and that experience? That feels to me like the ceiling of the kind of right-handed bat we should be expecting.
I agree. Like this again, the ceiling is essentially what we have, right? If it's DJ LeMahieu was healthy and was like barely an average ball player, like a 93 OPS plus guy, like that feels like this a third baseman who can reliably field the position. You get some pop out of the bat, which is why I'm just throwing my hands in the air saying you might as well just see what you have in these prospects and these younger players so you can make a definitive decision. I know that's contradictory to what we've said before because it seems like the team is punting April and May. Again, like, oh yeah, we'll see what we have and we'll figure it out later. But again, there is nothing out there right now that's going to change this team's fortunes and change the complexion at the onset of opening day. So you might as well just roll with what you have. I am interested in Canha, though. He has experience in New York playing with the Mets. He's supposedly a good clubhouse presence wherever he goes. I think the Yankees could always use a little bit more of that. And my analysis is I'm not concerned about the pitching. The team always gets it right. Like, do I think that the bullpen is going to need to get a mini overhaul at some point? Absolutely. Like, as you get lower and lower in the bullpen ranks, you start questioning what in the world is happening. But with the rotation, I think Carlos Carrasco was a smart addition. If not for anything, he's a veteran who can provide length if he's having a solid day, and he's somebody who has the experience stepping on the mound every 5th day, which is valuable when you're looking at somebody to merely fill in and step in for injuries. And again, he's looked good. So maybe all it took was a tweak to just have him be productive. And if he's successful in the first 2.5 months of the season, he's done his job. And the Yankees' lives are made easier. In terms of the bullpen and where it starts getting dicey with this last spot, or, as you get further and further away from, the 7th inning, remember, the Yankees always have guys rise through the woodwork and figure out how to carve out a role for themselves. And at the same time, they're also very good at shuttling guys back and forth, picking up guys off the scrap heap. Don't forget, Tim Hill arrived here, in June of last year?
Yeah. I woke up in an Italian villa to the news that we signed Tim Hill. So
you just woke up. You didn't fly there. You just apparated to Italy.
Yeah. No, I saw the notification on my phone that we signed Tim Hill, and I went, take me to fucking Italy. I can't. No, I woke up in the room and saw, I spent 2 weeks, and it was like the worst 2 weeks of the Yankee season too, waking up to game scores and going,
bad.
Fuck. Like, that seems terrible. And it just happened over and over again. And then I would scroll down to see the Red Sox, and it was the 2 weeks where they were winning every game. Yeah. It was like, great. That's great. I think that's great. That's dynamite. I actually have less of a problem with the Red Sox starting the season well and just playing well, which is good because they have the White Sox 7 times in April, than I do with them being 10 games under 500 and then ripping off a 9-game winning streak, which I think they've done every other year of my life.
Yeah. Miserable watching them. Haven't paid much attention to them at all. We can get into them right now. Why not?
Sure.
Because it's the Red Sox, and Adam has a lot to say about what the Red Sox are doing.
I really don't want to, and I'm going to keep this quick because I could do like 35 minutes here, but this is a very Belichickian from the folks in Boston.
Yeah.
And no, the Red Sox are not doing anything illegal. They're not doing thought crimes by putting Masataka Yoshida on the IL. Okay? So Craig Breslow didn't have to go to prison. But here we have the entire city of Boston pretending they're gaslighting in the same way. And they're pretending that everything about this is hunky-dory. So I'm done being gaslit. Red Sox fans are telling me that Masataka Yoshida can't throw more than 90 feet right now. So he has to go on the injury list. That would be great. That would be a valid reason to go on the injury list if Masataka Yoshida was an outfielder. But he's not. He played 1 inning there last year. The Red Sox, 1 inning. 1. Not 2, not 6. 1. So he played the outfield 2 years ago. Last year was a DH in every appearance but 1 inning. This year, what the Red Sox did is sign Alex Bregman. Smart. Try to move Rafael Devers to DH against his will. Stupid. Rafael Devers showed up and said, I do not want to do that. Stupid. Didn't consult him. Stupid. So they made the decision, oh, shit, we signed Yoshida and he can't field. He's just a DH and he's here for 3 more years and he costs $22 million a year. Nobody wants to trade for him. Is that enough of a reason not to do this Bregman-Devers thing? They decided no. So now they're in a space where they either need to trade Yoshida to enact their master plan, or they need to bench Yoshida, or they need to come up with a reason to put Yoshida on the injured list. Right now, lucky them, they get to claim that he's an outfielder now. We're moving Devers to DH. We're moving Bregman to third. We wanted to try Yoshida in the outfield. We wanted to try him there so badly, but we can't because his elbow, his labrum hurts. So, his shoulder issue is preventing us from doing what we want to do. Bullshit. They want to cut him and DFA him or trade him, and they can't do that. So now they're claiming to want to put him in the outfield when in reality they want him off the team because they prefer a guy with a 900 OPS to a guy with an 800 OPS DHing. What they have right now are 2 healthy DHs in Rafael Devers and Masataka Yoshida. But Devers can't quite play third yet. He's got a shoulder thing, and Yoshida can't play the outfield. He's got a labrum thing, and they're pretending their plan was to put him in the outfield when it wasn't. You've also got Red Sox fans saying, no, he's too injured to throw. Well, good thing throwing isn't a part of his job. He's a DH. If Mookie Betts had an injury that prevented him from throwing curveballs, but he could still hit, throw, run, and field, he wouldn't get to go on the IL because throwing curveballs isn't a thing that he has to do. Giancarlo Stanton hasn't been healthy enough to play the outfield in 3 years. Not being able to get up to play the outfield was enough of a reason to put a DH on the IL. The Yankees would have done it to Stanton in the summer of 2023 when he was hitting 191. But they're not the Red Sox, so they weren't given the same grace. Anyway, Red Sox fans, you're right. It's not illegal. You can do it, but it's a get-out-of-jail-free card. Now here's the rub. You're yelling about how it's legitimate, his arm hurts, and you can put a DH whose arm hurts on the injury list, and yeah, you can. But how about when you call up Roman Anthony, and there's 1 fewer outfield spot to go around, and you all have to stop pretending that Masataka Yoshida is a viable outfielder and someone that you all wanted to see in the outfield? What happens when his labrum is healthy in 3 or 4 weeks and Anthony's up there in left field, and now you can't even pretend or gaslight or lie about Yoshida being a viable outfielder anymore, and no one will trade for him? Does your $20 million man go on the bench? Or do the Red Sox find a way to keep him on the injured list for a little bit longer? Everybody does it. But when that does happen, I just want everyone to come and apologize to me and tell me, you were right. They were being sketchy. They were fudging this a little bit. And now it's becoming painfully obvious because there's no way he's still injured and there's no outfield vacancy and there's no DH vacancy. And now we don't know. Yeah, now we can't explain it or make an excuse because he's still sitting on the IL. So I don't know. I would – Devers even seems behind right now. He has 9 spring at-bats and he has 1 hit. So
and he's not playing in the exhibition game.
No. So if it were up to me, he's the one who would go on the IL. Yeah. And Yoshida, who homered the other day and is more than healthy enough to hit, would be on the roster. But the Red Sox, they want to go with Devers. He's a better hitter. And this is a cheeky, cute way to get out of it. So you're allowed to do it. But I'm done being told that this is just completely normal and standard. And we'll see. When Anthony comes up, we'll see.
What's crazy is that the news literally came right after he homered against the Yankees. So it was a bomb too. He ripped a bomb to right center field.
He hit a 105-mile-an-hour line drive to dead center in the game a couple of days before that too. He's in game shape. He's a good hitter. Yeah. I'd take him on my team. The Red Sox have made a decision that de-emphasizes him and buries him. And so this is the route that they've decided to go.
And there's my second point. Why don't we work something out here, folks?
Yeah.
We need a DH. We need someone who's battle tested. We need somebody who's going to be able to at least fill in for 3 months. Why not? The Yankees have sacrificed defense in the outfield before. So when the time comes and he might need to log some outfield reps, will it really matter? Is their left field situation that strong that they care about subpar defense out there? I don't think it is. And if the Red Sox don't value him, clearly they don't, right? There's been trade talks. First of all, when he was signed, there was an executives poll that said the Red Sox massively overpaid. It
was immediate reaction this deal is insane.
Yeah, saying it was a Heim Bloom reach because of the limited spending he was able to do, and he had to make a splash for somebody. Others were speculating that it was a Red Sox play to get more Japanese viewership, which would be another revenue stream. So that's why they were able to justify, quote, overpaying. But at this rate, is it an overpay? Genuinely, is it an overpay? I guess it depends what you value MLB players at, right? Everybody has their own opinion. Can't pay this guy $30 million. That's too much. Someone looks at Marcus Stroman's $18 million and they scoff. And at the same time, it's but that's what it costs for a starter to go 25 outings a year. And I understand he didn't have the greatest year last year, but that's just what the price is. And for Yoshida, he's making what, 18 mil a year or something, 17 mil. He's making $18.5 million a year. Okay.
I'd take him tomorrow.
Yeah, I'd take him tomorrow. 285 hitter with a 775 OPS and a 111 OPS plus. 25 homers, 128 RBIs in 248 games, barely strikes out, walks. It's a good hitting profile. It's a contact lefty bat. It's a pesky lefty bat. It's an aggressive bat. And I understand that whatever lens you're looking through when you're talking about Masahiro Tanaka's contract, Masataka Yoshida's contract, you could say in a vacuum, he's overpaid because the Red Sox already have multiple DH candidates. Someone like Trevor Story could be a DH because he's always injured. Why would you risk, how often are you going to risk playing him in the field? There are other issues with the Red Sox right now, Wilyer Abreu was out sick and lost 20 pounds and didn't start getting into spring action until last week. So that's a DH candidate that you can use the flexible position with, or use the position to be flexible with. And if you're looking at Yoshida, who is kind of like a Giancarlo Stanton situation, right? Locked into the DH spot. Yeah. You can't move him around. You can't really put him in the outfield, I guess, apparently for 2 reasons. One is because he can't throw right now. The other one is because you don't want him out there ever. So, and let's pretend you just don't want him out there ever because that's what it's been since essentially day one.
Yes.
Then, then that's an excessive cost on the roster. But for someone like the Yankees who need a DH, who need an aggressive veteran bat, it could be a smart move. And there are plenty of other teams out there who would kill for a bat such as Masataka Yoshida's, even if it is locked in the DH spot.
Yeah, and we root for one of them. So, I mean, on the one hand, embarrassment of riches for Boston for sure.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, just a very convenient way to get out of a roster problem that you created. And I'm sure other teams do this, but it is just like, wow, what are they going to do with Yoshida at DH after they forced Devers to the position? I guess the answer is be sketchy about it. Cool. Very cool. We'll see what happens with Roman Anthony. Two former Yankees making news with their contracts this week as well. I'd be remiss not to note them. Alex Verdugo, we briefly considered as a Yankees reunion option earlier this spring when he was still lingering on the free agent market and Jason Dominguez was not holding up his end of the left field bargain. Since that moment in time, I haven't seen a Dominguez error in a while. Nobody has made more terrible errors than Jose Altuve, who is the current running worst outfielder in baseball. So taking the heat off of Dominguez a little bit. And Dominguez is also like hitting 105-mile-an-hour line drives every at-bat, and he looks like one of the best hitters on the team. So I haven't thought about Alex Verdugo in a while, and neither did the other 29 teams. There was a report that he didn't get a formal major league offer all spring, and then finally he signed with the Braves yesterday for $1.5 million after there were considerations of the Pirates offering him $8.5 million earlier in the spring. We heard 1.5 is less than that. The Pirates spread that out to Andrew Heaney and Tommy Pham. The Braves signed him to a weird deal they invented with one option. They're going to demote him to AAA Gwinnett to have a fake spring training down there, and then hopefully they'll bring him up. It's kind of insane that the Yankees World Series starter, who made what would have been one of the most iconic catches in Yankees history if Nestor Cortez had not sort of a meatball to Freddie Freeman, is the Braves' fifth outfielder, Jared Kelenic backup plan, guy making $1.5 million in free agency. I thought Verdugo, when he came to the Yankees, was like a 3-year, $36 million contract guy, and he's making inadequate money for the value that he provides. My mind is blown. Although Atlanta is a destination where I probably won't think of him for quite a while.
Don't know. It's all crazy. This Verdugo contract is wild. The fact that the Yankees, I guess, didn't value him at all, like literally to the point where they wouldn't sign him to a $1.5 million contract. I'm shocked because especially they need veteran help. And look, I'm not lobbying for it, but for a team like the Yankees who love discounts and they love reunions and they love some sort of continuity. When this news dropped yesterday, I was like, what? I know Verdugo got optioned to AAA, so I don't know if he's going to factor that much into the Braves outfield picture that much. But the fact he went this long unsigned with no interest, like what, last week it was reported that he had no major league offers on the table?
Yeah, I think it might have honestly been earlier this week, but I know formal major league offers. The word formal was doing a lot of work there because this is technically a major league offer, but we're not going to see him on the big league roster for a while. I'll give him credit. He's a major leaguer, but this is putting his tail between his legs for sure.
Yeah, it's upsetting, and we've talked about the issues with some of these Yankees players lingering in free agency, right after coming off a World Series run with the team. And it just speaks volumes to the fact that the Yankees, had Verdugo on the roster for that long, not performing offensively. I understand the defense in left field was valuable, but they, welcomed back Anthony Rizzo for the playoffs. He's somebody who's unsigned at this point. I know he battled through injuries, so you got to give the man respect. He battled through broken fingers, but even before that, the play just wasn't adequate. The range was not there. The at-bats weren't, overly quality, and there was a clear regression in his game. So it's wild to see that two players who were, quote, integral to the Yankees operation for their 2024 World Series run. One of them signed a minor league deal for $1.5 million with a team that could potentially use outfield help in right field, but they're not entirely sure. And the other is garnering zero interest from teams at this moment. But I mean, look, Verdugo, it's crazy how it's kind of cratered for him. He was in LA, then he was in Boston, then he was in New York. So he's been in all these big markets. He's performed to varying degrees. I thought his career was looking up when he was a Dodger. Then he came to Boston, and he got off to a really fast start. And then I don't think expectations were met. But again, that was a little bit unfair because he was associated with the Mookie Betts trade. So he was supposed to, among the fans and among the organization, perform a lot better than he did, which, that's life sometimes. But I guess it really all came to a head when the Yankees gave him this opportunity in between a stacked roster to make an impact in a contract year. And he had a good 6 weeks to start the season. And then after that, it was like, what's happening, dude? What's going on? So yeah, more Yankees disease affecting these poor people's jobs. It sucks.
He has had the rare distinction of being the last guy I want to see up in a clutch situation, both on the team I'm facing and the team I'm rooting for. So there are not many people like that. Verdugo on the Red Sox wanted no part of him with runner in scoring position late in the game.
Yep.
Verdugo on the Yankees, same deal. No interest. I guess there were people I wanted to see up less at times, but you felt like you were fated for a rollover grounder there. He had some moments. He did, but they were mostly early in the season and then mostly extremely late in the season. And hey, by the way, Jose Trevino signed a 3-year deal with the Reds yesterday.
What is this?
The Yankees traded him for Fernando Cruz, who, again, the jury's out on whether or not he is a demon. He seems to be a solid reliever with one nice pitch. He might be their 5th most important reliever. That has value. He's a big K guy, but I'm not sure if Matt Blake's going to need a little more time with him, need a little more time in the oven before we're sure what's going on there. But Trevino last year, look, you can't think I've never liked a 2022. He was my favorite 2022 Yankee. He was an all-star. He got hurt in 2023, shoulder issue. If he were able to DH, then I guess you could keep him off the IL, but he's a catcher. So, couldn't throw 570 OPS. I don't want to call it a downfall because it's not like he was someone who'd, shown offensive aptitude for more than just brief spurts. He was really good for a portion of 2022. Talk about a clutch bat. He walked off several games. You always felt comfortable with him in a key situation. Last year, not the same. He was a tick late in scenarios where he would have usually stepped up. You could beat him high with a fastball. And defensively, he was almost unplayable. And his strengths are framing, which may get legislated out of the game by the umpire challenge system. And his pop time is not where you want it to be. His arm after the injury was not where you wanted it to be. The Red Sox, as they often do, if they're able to exploit a weakness, they'll embarrass you, especially if they can do it to the Yankees on national television. They always will. They shook his confidence on that Sunday Night Baseball game. No shame in taking what's yours, but that borderline ended his season in June. He was not an effective weapon from that point forward. And the Yankees traded him to the Reds, who need catching depth, and Tyler Stevenson, their starter, is now out. So Trevino playing a more important role. Good for him. Rooting for him every day. But from the Yankees deciding he wasn't worth 2.5, 3.5 million to the Reds giving him a preseason 3-year extension when they've been trying to extend Stevenson. Backup catchers can be valuable.
Yeah.
Trevino is a valuable locker room presence. And again, my favorite player on a really good playoff team 3 years ago. But I'm still baffled by this and definitely baffled by the timing. And they got to love what they're seeing behind the scenes to be confident in doing this, even at a position like backup catcher, because the Reds don't spend. So to be trying to extend Matt McClain and Ellie De La Cruz and be entertaining these $300-400 million contracts, not that those are on the horizon, but to be nickel and diming so much around the rest of the roster and be paying $5 million a year to Jose Trevino, lock it into a non-starter, it's very weird to me.
Very weird, and I don't know what is the going rate for a backup catcher. I can never hammer that down.
And is it going up?
Everything's going up. Your rent's going up.
Yep.
Your car insurance is going up.
Yeah, I used to be able to afford a backup catcher, and now I'm looking at a studio, and I can't even get a glove. So what are you gonna do?
You used to have an apartment catcher, man. We used to have a good time.
Yeah, I used to pay Kurt Casale to hang out on my porch and just take out the recycling, but now I can't do that anymore.
The confusing part here is that, and I don't know who is more questionable. Whose decision is more questionable, right? So this offseason, the Yankees determined that they would rather have no clear backup catcher rather than pay Jose Trevino $3.48 million, I think his arbitration figure was.
Mm-hmm.
So fair enough, right? They needed to clear as much money as they possibly could as they prepped for Soto plus another free agent addition.
And that worked.
Yeah, it worked to perfection. They re-signed him and everything.
They re-signed him. They saved all that money for Juan Soto. Now he's back.
And they needed to, again, there is some validity to this. They needed to move on from a number of guys who had been there for a while that weren't exactly upping the offering for this organization. So as much as Jose Trevino was, I think, a beloved Yankee, and some version of a fan favorite, 2022 was more of a flash in the pan aberration for him, the All-Star campaign. And then injuries reared their ugly head. And even when he got consistent playing time in 2023 and 2024, the results just simply weren't there. He was not a good hitter, and the arm strength was affected by shoulder issues. And it was no longer. It became a situation that the Yankees could no longer deal with because their depth was already bad, and having an inadequate backup catcher just didn't seem like a smart decision, especially paying him that much money. Then again, the Yankees had no solution at backup catcher, right? Like right now we're looking at JC Escara. Is that like, I mean, I'm rooting for the guy. I think that it could be really cool if he has a big year, but he's 28 years old and has no Major League Baseball experience, and that's your backup catcher. And you also, remember, have to preserve Austin Wells in some capacity. I don't know if that means either giving him days off in full days off, or that means giving him DH reps and having somebody else catch. But the Yankees had no solution after they let Trevino go, and they still don't have a solution on March 21st. Now, the flip side is that they didn't deem him worthy of $3.4 whatever million it was. And they are a big market team. The Reds, a small market team, deemed him worth $15 million on a $5 million AAV contract. And they know of all these issues. Like, I don't know, did the arm strength come back in spring training? I haven't watched any Reds. I haven't watched Trevino perform. So it's just bizarre. Like, does that mean the Reds jumped the gun because, like you said, the Stevenson extension talks weren't going well, or they have high hopes for their top prospect catcher, I believe. So they think maybe Trevino can be some sort of a tutor to him to help get him to where he needs to be at the big league level. But it's very bizarre how you go from one of the richest franchises in the sport saying this guy is not worth this amount of money to essentially a poverty franchise whose biggest free agent deal was probably like Mike Moustakas, on a 60-something million contract, or Homer Bailey. It actually was Homer Bailey, I think, $100 million contract. Is now sinking $15 million into a distressed asset that was determined by the Yankees. So I don't know if this is the Reds capitalizing on, acquiring a veteran backup catcher who they think is going to further their situation behind the plate, or if it's the Yankees being stupid again with a dumb roster decision. But for the record, I thought parting with Trevino and finding a suitable option behind Austin Wells was the move. The only thing is that they didn't do the latter part. So now jury's out in terms of what's going to happen.
The jury's always out. And yes, Alfredo Duno, their top catching prospect, is way down the line. And maybe that aligns with Trevino's 3 years. But he's still at A-ball. He's got a 2028 ETA. He's going to rise up the prospect ranks. But lock in security in a way that I'm not sure is wise for the Cincinnati Reds. Unless the Reds want to start throwing around $20 million deals at the margins and start reinforcing the roster. In which case, good, do that. But just based on anecdotally looking around the league at what teams are willing to do and not willing to do, I'm skeptical that they're going to start doing that, and I'm confused that this is where they decided to try out that philosophy. But good for Trevino, who so many people are having trouble getting paid. That's not a bad payday at all. And Cincinnati is a great baseball town. I think he'll enjoy it. looks like he's already enjoying it. So shout out to a couple of former Yankees making moves. We will see you next Monday, normal time, 2:00 Eastern. We'll know the roster at that point, I think.
Perhaps.
By and large, perhaps, although we're waiting on that right-handed bat, too lefty heavy. The Yankees' problem, why can't they just build a balanced roster? They were too righty heavy for like 15 years. Then they went all in on lefties, and they're like, we forgot it, the other thing.
Oh, my God.
Shout out to the Yankees. Yeah, Dom Smith, hopefully going to help somebody. I like Dom Smith too, but not a fit right now. We're going to see Pablo Reyes, and we're going to like it. Or we're going to see Mystery Man, and we're going to like it. I'm Adam Weinrib. You can find me on Twitter at Adam Weinrib. But if you're a Red Sox fan, please don't. I've talked to enough of you today. Thomas Carannante, where can the people find you?
They can find me at Tommy's_takes. They can find the both of us at the official Yanks Go Yard account at Yanks Go Yard FS. Thank you guys for tuning in. Appreciate the viewership. Please like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Helps us very much. Also gives you alerts on when we're going live. Today was not one of our normal days. So if you're a subscriber, you saw that we were going live.
What the?
It hooked you. What? Oh, my God. This is the greatest Friday surprise of all time. I'm taking lunch break, boss. But, yeah. So, also, head on over to yanksgoyard.com. Plenty of content there. We're filling in the gaps in between podcasts. There's a lot happening when we go off the air. There's a lot happening before we even go on the air. So, we want to keep you guys up to date and informed. Appreciate you guys tuning in and reading. Once again, have yourselves a good weekend. We'll talk to you again on Monday, hopefully with more information and maybe good news, I suppose. My hot take is that we will not know the opening day roster until Thursday.
Oh, and hopefully we avoid the classic, waiting a long time for the Yankees to announce their playoff roster and like, hey, Scott Efros isn't on it. What the hell? Oh, Tommy John surgery for Scott Efros. So it'd be great to not encounter that. It'd be great I want one or two surprises. I want them to be good. I don't think that's too much to ask. And also, wait, one more plea to the New York Yankees. Your Twitter behavior with highlights is bizarre. And I guess I understand, but Jazz Chisholm homers yesterday. You tweet that out, and I appreciate it. There was limited live data for yesterday's game. I couldn't really watch it, so you're giving me Jazz's homer. I love it. You're showing me what's going on early. In mid-game, you tweet a photo of Jazz Chisholm. Great. Good stuff. Anyway, the Yankees subbed out their starters, which is how spring training works. And then you stop showing me shit. You treat your prospects, and your backups like innies and severance. I want to see what is happening in the game. Yesterday, there was a lot of Brendan Jones late. I'm a big Brendan Jones believer. I want to see if he's knocking in 2 runs with a single late. I want you to show that to me. Instead of not, Ian Hamilton struck out 3 guys looking. What did that look like? Yeri De Los Santos is someone I got my eye on for a potential roster spot midseason. He struck out 3 in an inning and a third. What was he up to? And then finally, with the bases loaded and no outs in the 9th, the Yankees threatening to blow, again, it doesn't matter, from 9-5 to 9-7, bases loaded, no outs. They bring in a lefty named Jordani Ventura, who struck out everybody. He struck out 3 people in a row. Show me what that looks like. These are real humans with real lives, and I'm sure their families want to watch their highlights. So tweet those out. Clip them. If you're clipping the broadcast for Jazz, clip the broadcast for Brendan Jones. Show me why the Yankees are scoring 4 runs late in this game. Dudes are doing work. I want to see that.
I agree, but I'm not paying as close enough attention as Adam. I did like the Jazz Chisholm highlights, though. He's heating up, and that makes me feel good.
He's heating up. Bellinger's heating up. Anthony Volpe hit a no-doubter home run yesterday. Jason Dominguez has been the best hitter on the team for like a week. Paul Goldschmidt, who's got the back right now, I love. I can't wait to hopefully see him again soon. I'm not even that pessimistic about the team right now. I'm intrigued by a lot of things, and some of that helps when the expectations are not low, but not high. They're not overwhelming. They're right where they maybe need to be. They're in the corner pocket. So let's be annoying. Let's be let's be a little pesky. Let's hit more than people think we're going to, and let's make a deadline deal and let's go make some noise. But if the team is doing stuff, I want to see it. So show it to me.
Bring it to me.
It smacks of like social media person being like, I got a dinner reservation in Sarasota. I gotta go. I gotta go to a steakhouse. The regular's gone. I'm gone too. We'll see you on Monday. We probably won't know the roster, but we can at least pretend to. Until then, take care, everybody, and catch you later.